Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're opening up a really remarkable playbook for communication mastery and conflict resolution.
hmm
And the source is, well, it's maybe the most unexpected place you could look. A board-certified trial attorney.
Yeah, not the first person you'd think of for relationship advice.
Exactly. So if you've ever walked away from one of those high-stakes conversations, with your boss or your partner, and just felt completely tongue-tied,
Or just unheard.
yes, unheard, then this deep dive is really your guide to finding some genuine control in those moments.
And our goal today is all about, let's call it high leverage application. We're trying to strip away the courtroom specifics.
All the legal jargon.
Right. And just extract those fundamental principles, the highest stakes lessons that make these people effective advocates. We want to show you how to apply them directly.
To your career, your relationships.
All of it. Your personal growth, really.
The sources all seem to point back to this one core problem that the attorney sees over and over.
Man.
People are just paralyzed by conflict. And this is a quote, deathly afraid. Not because they're weak, but just because they don't have a framework. They don't know what to say when the pressure is on.
And that fear makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, conflict is messy, it's stressful, it's emotional.
Totally.
But communication mastery, and this is what we learned from this expert, it's a discipline. It's a skill you learn.
Not a talent you're born with.
Exactly.
Mm.
And to handle that stress, he offers, I think it's 5 pillars that can guide pretty much any interaction, whether it's a cross-examination or, a simple performance review.
And they cover everything. Authenticity, presence.
Minimizing distraction, which is a huge one.
Huge. And then knowing when to just be quiet, strategic silence.
And then how we support people through sadness. And of course, the big one.
The one everyone wants to know about.
How to disarm those really manipulative people, the narcissists, the gaslighters.
Okay, so before we jump into the tactics, let's just talk for a second about the cost, the weight of communication failure, because we think the stakes are low in our daily lives, compared to a courtroom. But the sources are clear. The bill always comes due.
That is the absolute truth. The attorney wrote that he saw the cost of avoidance every single day.
So for you, listening, not speaking up at work, that might cost you the promotion you know you deserved.
And withholding your truth in a relationship, that just eats away at your self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships, they don't usually implode in one big fight. They dissolve over, what was the phrase?
100 moments where repair could have happened and it didn't.
That's it. And those moments were avoided because the conflict just felt too hard, too uncomfortable to start.
And there's some really profound research that backs this up. We learned that the ultimate predictor of a child's well-being, it's not whether their parents stayed married or got divorced.
No, not at all.
It's how the parents dealt with conflict in the home.
It determines generational health. I mean, it connects every single part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So if we accept that avoiding conflict is just too costly, then the next step has to be gaining some control.
Okay, let's unpack that, this core idea of control. Because when we get challenged, most of us, myself included, we immediately jump to an 11.
Yeah, the volume goes up, the pace speeds up.
You're signaling pure distress. So what's the trial lawyer mindset shift that can actually reverse that?
The number one shift is realizing that being right is, frankly, overrated.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is. People go into arguments to win the debate. But so often, winning the argument completely misses the actual issue.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe the other person just needed to feel heard. Or maybe all they were looking for was a simple apology. If your only goal is victory, you miss the chance for any real understanding, for resolution.
So if the goal isn't just winning, but gaining and keeping control, how do you physically show that? How do you project control?
Control is about setting the frequency. A person who is in command wants other people to match their rhythm.
Not the other way around.
Never. Going to an 11, rushing your words, having that big emotional outburst, all that does is signal you're out of your depth, that you lack credibility.
So what's the alternative?
You consciously become the anchor in the room. You slow your work.
Yeah.
You lower your volume. You show with your body that this situation isn't affecting your equilibrium, so they have to meet your composed pace.
That idea of being an anchor links right into nonverbal cues for credibility. The expert has this amazing visualization technique for it.
The living room.
The living room. He says to imagine you're walking into any space, a negotiation, a board meeting, even a difficult family dinner, and you treat it like it's your own living room.
And everyone else is just visiting.
Yes.
Oh.
You're signaling Non-verbally, I've been here before. This is my space.
And that mental trick, it dramatically changes your physical bearing. In a courtroom, controlling your reaction is everything for credibility with the jury.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. So let's say a judge rules against your argument.
Hmm.
The jury is watching you for a cue on how to feel about that.
Right.
You can't let them see your frustration. You instantly control your face, your volume, and you just say, "Thank you, Judge."
As if that was exactly what you wanted to happen.
Exactly. Your reaction tells the onlookers how to interpret the event. If you panic, they think it's a disaster. If you're composed, they assume you have a plan. You're still in control.
Okay, so we maintain control over our own emotions, our own pace. But what happens when you're dealing with someone who's actively trying to seize control or even mess with your sense of reality?
Yes.
Let's dive into the manipulators, starting with that word we hear everywhere, gaslighting.
Right. Gaslighting. It's psychological manipulation where the aggressor lies and twists things specifically to make the victim doubt themselves.
Their memory, their sanity.
Their entire reality. The malicious intent is to create a constant state of, am I going crazy
Yeah.
in the other person?
And here's a high-impact little nugget from the sources that really struck me.
What's that?
That we've actually all done it. We've all gaslit someone at some point.
We have, often unintentionally, out of panic or defensiveness when we feel exposed. The difference is the intent to systematically, over time, dismantle someone's perception of the world.
That is a striking nuance. But it brings up a question. Who's most susceptible to this kind of attack? Who falls for it?
The people who are most vulnerable tend to be those with an anxious attachment style, and specifically people who rely heavily on co-regulation.
Co-regulation, that's a key psychological term. What does it mean?
It means your nervous system can't feel safe or okay unless the person you're with is also okay.
So you need their calm to feel calm.
Precisely. That deep need for external harmony makes you exquisitely sensitive to conflict. And that is the exact thing a gaslighter or a narcissist exploits. They know if they create chaos, you will bend your own reality just to restore their calm.
Let's talk about the narcissist specifically then. The sources say they operate on a praise or provoke dynamic. They seem to enjoy causing frustration just as much as they enjoy getting praise. Why is that?
Because they get the same thing from both. Control. They thrive on attention. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative.
So what are the classic signs?
Well, there's an inability to be genuinely happy for other people. A pervasive victim mentality. Everything always happens to them.
Right.
And an obsessive focus on how they're perceived. They craft this perfect face for the outside world, while behind the scenes, their relationships are usually just chaos.
So if you're dealing with this, how do you defend yourself? How do you not get sucked into their game?
The core counterattack has two main moves.
Yeah.
First, you limit your exposure, and you only use neutral, boring statements that they can't grab onto.
Okay.
Think. Noted.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing. Or my personal favorite. That's good to know.
Yeah, but
Dead ends. If they're actively gaslighting you, the key phrase is just, I remember that differently.
no argument, no justification.
None. You just state your reality and stop talking. Put down the shovel.
What about when they use direct insults or they try to belittle you? There was this tactic involving strategic silence that was just fascinating.
Yes. For an insult, you employ a long, deliberate pause. 5, maybe 7 seconds of just silence.
That must feel like an eternity.
It does. And then you ask them to repeat the hurtful phrase. Or you ask, did you mean for that to sound hurtful?
Why does that work?
The psychological goal is to create something called cognitive dissonance. See, they want you to react to the emotional part of the insult.
Right, to get angry or defensive.
Yes, but when you make them repeat it, you force them to confront the identity they project. They probably see themselves as witty or sharp, but not cruel.
And repeating a cruel phrase makes them.
It forces a clash between who they think they are and what they just did. And to protect their own self-image, they almost always backpedal.
So you're not getting into a fight with them. You're changing the frame from conflict to curiosity, and they lose control because they're forced into the self-reflection they can't handle.
Precisely. You've used their own need for control right back at them.
Let's pivot now back to the more positive side of this, connection. Let's start with reducing distraction and increasing presence. You mentioned a great analogy from the sources, the one about the string.
The taut string, yes. True connection is like a string held taut between two people. If we're talking and I pick up my phone, even if I say, no, I'm listening, the connection goes slack.
You feel it immediately. You feel minimized,
Oh, no.
disrespected.
Absolutely. So to maximize presence, you leave the phone in the car. Or at the very least, you flip it face down on the table to signal that the other person is the absolute priority in that moment.
Okay, next on the attorney's list is the problem of over-explaining. Why do we do that? Why do we feel this need to justify every clear statement we make?
Because when we just gush words, the message gets lost. It's all static, no substance.
The expert had a great way of putting this.
He did. He said, instead of being a waterfall, be a well.
A well.
A well holds its knowledge with deep confidence. If you make a clear statement and people have a question, they will ask. Trust me.
But when you immediately follow up with a bunch of justifications...
You are signaling that you have a very low belief in your own statement. You're trying to argue with an imaginary critic inside your own head. Just stop.
And this ties directly into cultivating presence through strategic pausing. When a tough question hits you, your first word shouldn't be a defensive stammer. It should just be a breath.
That moment of silence, that pause, it's a huge signal of confidence and thoughtful consideration. It's like a cliffhanger. It makes your listeners lean in.
Because confident people don't have to talk to prove they know something.
They trust their own timing.
Okay, before we move on to supporting others, there's a really important distinction we have to make, one of the most important in the sources. The difference between nice and kind.
Oh, this is massive. They are not the same thing.
We use them interchangeably, but they're not.
Not at all. Nice is surface level. It's transactional. It's often driven by people-pleasing, and its main goal is to avoid confrontation.
Right. If you describe a sandwich as nice, it means basically nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But kind is deep. It's related to the word kin. It's about connection.
So what does that look like in practice?
It means choosing to be kind, even at the expense of being perceived as nice or easy. A truly kind person cares enough about the other person to speak the necessary truth.
Even when that truth is uncomfortable.
Especially then. Kindness is about relational honesty. Niceness is just about conflict avoidance.
Finally, let's talk about one of the absolute toughest communication challenges, the one that requires the most empathy. Dealing with sadness and grief. What's the #1 mistake we all make when trying to offer support?
The mistake is we shift the burden of action onto the grieving person.
How so?
We always start with, let me know if you need anything. All you've done is give them a chore. They're completely overwhelmed. They are never going to call you.
So the key to real actionable support is to eliminate that chore, to just do the thing you were thinking about doing.
Exactly. Don't ask for permission. Bring the casserole. Run the specific errands you know they need. Do the laundry.
Be specific.
Be specific and just do it. And crucially, when you're talking to them, do not offer those empty platitudes like, oh, everything happens for a reason.
Ugh, the worst.
It just minimizes their real, valid pain. You have to validate their grief. Tell them nobody deserves this, or what is happening right now is totally unfair. You just confirm that their pain is seen and accepted.
So after all of this, what does it all mean for the person listening right now? We've taken these high-stakes courtroom principles and tried to apply them to daily life. For me, the key takeaway is that communication isn't some innate talent. It's a discipline. It's a learned skill.
And every single interaction is an opportunity for repair, for growth, if we just choose to see it that way.
And remember the small details. The sources remind us that useless absurdity will define you more than useful practicality.
I love that line. The most shocking, the most memorable things we do are often those tiny moments of pure presence.
Like what?
Like genuinely acknowledging the intern or the security guard or the cashier. They create this huge causative impact precisely because those people are so often overlooked. Be the calm anchor in the room who sees everyone.
Because your communication choices, they create this massive ripple effect. It travels so much farther than the immediate moment.
Absolutely. When you really internalize the fact that how you speak to a cashier might affect how they feel when they treat their own kids that night.
You start to understand the magnitude of your words.
The quality of our relationships is always equal to the quality of our communication.
The positive and the negative. They both travel far.
So we have to choose to invest in this discipline.
And we'll leave you with this challenge. Knowing the profound ripple effect that your words carry, what positive investment, what positive ripple effect are you choosing to create today?